Hi everyone, my name is Greg, and I'll be running you through my RMIT Online User Experience Design final project. So for the past 6 weeks, we have been working on identifying a problem, which was finding a frustrating user experience problem that we can find on a website or a mobile app, anything we can use. And our ultimate goal was to identify the problem, develop the hunch, and we will ultimately provide a solution for that hunch and the problem we've identified. So for the first week, I have chosen my problem. So for my user experience problem, I have chosen the Amazon Shopping app. And my initial hunch for the Amazon Shopping app was that the users might find it difficult to find the desired products on Amazon due to the overwhelming amount of information displayed while searching for a product. This was based from my past Amazon using experience, and I thought this was an interesting project to work towards, so I've pushed forward. But first of all, I looked at the existing user flows of the Amazon app. Overall, I felt that there are too many advertisements, too many item listings here and there, a lot of recommendations for the searches, search histories all stacked up on one another, no organization or such. And if you move on to the actual search results, we see a lot of visuals, which are advertisements, which are sponsored. They take up more than almost half of the screen. Doesn't leave much space for the listings. And a lot of these items are marked sponsored. So if a person was looking for a genuine non-sponsored product with the best reviews and best value, it would be hard for them to navigate through it. So just upon looking at this whole user flow and user experience, I found that it's very cluttering and um, not really user friendly for the streamlined shopping experience. So upon identifying the problem, I have created a user flow for an activity to identify my problems and moved on to week two. In week two, we did some context clarifiers and created some personas to um, pinpoint the scope and help me figure out if I'm going the right way, what are the constraints, what's the scope, and what's the vision. And after all that, we have I've conducted the desk research for the Amazon app. In this case, the desk research worked really well in my favor because jumping onto the Apple iOS App Store and the Google Android App Store, the Play Store, I've ran into 7.9 million ratings for the iOS App Store and then 3.73 million reviews for the Play Store. And all these reviews were very interesting to me because they were mentioning a UI issue, that it's all clunky, it's cluttered up. A lot of them mentioning terrible user experience and having bad UI. So it really gave me that extra boost to continue on my hunch. And the hunch gets revised again. But for now, after the desk research, I've identified that the users find it difficult to shop on the Amazon app due to the excessive amounts of suggestions given when using the search function. So that was my revised hunch. Moving on to week three, I've created some interview questions to actually conduct the interviews. And I've made three objectives. I wanted to understand how the users use the search function on the Amazon app. And I wanted to understand what they find easy or difficult when browsing on the app. And also, I wanted to understand whether they find the item suggestions helpful or not. So from those three objectives, I created 8 questions, and I ended up using 5 in my actual interview. And upon creating the interview questions, I actually revised my hunch again, which becomes my my legitimate final hunch. And I have actually pinpointed it to item suggestions and sponsored items shown during the search functions because that's what I found users struggle a lot because there was a little bit of misunderstanding in the process of doing the desk research, but I've clarified and made that users find it difficult to find desired products because of the suggested items shown using the search function. So from there, I have made the interview guide and conducted two user interviews, one face-to-face and one remote through Zoom. And I got a lot of interesting comments, which I was not expecting most of the time because they gave a very fresh view of this hunch and issue. They gave some business point of views and they also gave some other user interface issues or just general comments about Amazon and their app. Using those comments, I've created the affinity map, divided into usability, browsing experience, characteristics, and interface, 4 different areas. And as you can see, we have a lot of comments, significant comments, talking about the browsing experience and the interface. So I knew that I had to focus on those 2 areas. And so my key takeaway was to reduce or remove a lot of unrelated item suggestions and advertisements from the interface. And also, I've noticed that there's an acceptable amount of sponsored items. So keeping that to the minimum while distinguishing from the non-sponsored items so the users can have a clear idea of what's sponsored and what's not. And also, this was an unexpected comment, but the image size of the listings were too big or too small sometimes. So the image needed resizing for a clear experience. And most importantly, the overall interface was a little bit confusing with a lot of information and without enough guidance. So this meant that I had to create a more easy to follow interface and provide more indications. I moved on to making some sketch ideations. I did the crazy eights. I identified my problems and gave it a solution. I ended up creating it in like a little comic style, but it worked out really well. Then using the momentum, I moved on to sketching the quick user interfaces. Very messy, but it conveys everything I needed to do. Actually, giving myself limited time to sketch was a good idea because I would only focus on the important parts, such as showing the sponsored ads and making the reviews more obvious and such. From there, I created the paper prototype and I continued and used this for the user testing later on as well. It contains a lot of the information and the key takeaways from the user interviews, and I applied it and implemented in the design. And I've conducted the usability testing with one participant, and I gave a lot of tasks to the participant, and they've done the tasks, gave me some comments, and upon that, I have created another affinity map, and it just solidified my hunch. Mostly, it was just the comments that oh, this is very helpful, this is great, this is very simple, and it gave me energy to carry on to making the mid-fight prototypes. And moving on to week 6, I have actually created the mid-fight prototypes. So the main concept was to keep it minimal and clean for the users to have a streamlined shopping experience. So remove most of the ads. And I give an option for the users to load more search results if they want to. If not, they can just see the minimal amounts. If not, they can see 10 or more. And for the listings, the sponsored listings and advertisement, I have made it obvious, but not too obvious, to make sure to distinguish it from the non-sponsored products. So I've just made it obvious there and readjusted some image sizes. For instance, when you add it into the cart, the image was too small. You don't even know what you added into the cart. So I just readjusted the image, decluttered all the information, removed all the sponsored ads, and made it very streamlined and minimal. And at the end, I just made it very clean. So overall, I would say that the mid-fight prototype conveys my solution very, very clearly. And starting from the initial hunch to the final prototype, I think the synthesis process was very important, and I'm very happy with the result I've produced. And thanks for listening.